Okay, today Year 4 we're going to be working on number sequences using number lines. Because quite often we find that people struggle a little bit with placing numbers on number lines, working out exactly what number lines are saying. So here what we've got is a number line between 10 and 20, and I want to know what this arrow is, what number the arrow is pointing at. So the first thing I need to do is I need to work out what is each step here. What am I counting up in? What is each part worth? There are lots of ways to do this. I could do trial and error, for instance, just test different possibilities. That might work with something like this, where the numbers are quite close together and relatively small, but it's not a very good strategy when the numbers start getting a bit bigger. So the way to do this is to think, well, what's the difference? What's the gap between these two numbers? Well, it's 10, isn't it? If I add 10 to 10, I get 20. There's a gap of 10. And how many equal parts are there that I've split this gap into? Well, I've split it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 equal parts. So I can divide 10 by 10 to find, so divide this gap here into 10 equal parts to find out what one part is worth. 10 divided by 10 is 1, so I'm counting in ones, aren't I? I've got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this blue arrow is pointing to the number 17. Now you might be thinking, okay, I could see that straight away. And that's great. You might be able to do that as you now have a go at this one. But again, we're going to come back when you see a couple more examples we're going to do in a moment, why it's really important to think very carefully about what the parts are, what each step is along the way. So have a go at this one. Pause your video and then come back in a moment. Just notice before you start, I've now got 600 and 700. So what am I counting in now? Again, think about this. What's the difference? And then how many parts are there? What am I going to divide by? What's each step worth? So pause the video, come back when you're finished. Okay, so the difference between 600 and 700 is 100. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 equal parts. 100 divided by 10 is 10. So now I'm counting up in tens. 610, 620, 630. So that makes this blue arrow pointing to the number 640. Now here is where we start to get a little bit more complicated, because we're very used to seeing number lines with 10 parts on. And that's, I think, because going right back to your time in reception and Year 1, we first meet number lines when you're learning to count from 0 to 10. So here, I've got, again, a gap of 10. Difference between 20 and 30 is 10. But this time I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. So if I divide 10 by 5, I get 2. And that lets me know that each step is worth 2. So I'm adding 2 here each time. So I've got 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So the arrow is pointing at 24. So again, your turn now. Think, what's the gap here? What's the difference between 40 and 50? So what's this number line worth? Then how many equal parts are there along the way? So what am I going to divide by? What's each step worth? So pause the video now, come back in a moment. Okay, here we go. So again, difference of 10 between 40 and 50. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. So again, each step is worth 2. I'm adding 2 each time. So 42, 44, 46, 48, 50. So the arrow is pointing at the number 46. One more then. So same thing. What's the difference here? Well, 100. The difference between 100 and 200 is 100. How many parts do I have? Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. 100 divided by 4 is 25. It's a fact we really need to know. It's going to be very helpful next year when we come on to doing more fractions work. So each time I'm adding 25, so I get 100, 125, 150, 175, 200. So the arrow is pointing to the number 175. You're going to have a go now at this one. Be really careful. So what's the difference here? What am I dividing by? How many steps are there? And then work out the value of the blue arrow. So pause the video now, come back in a moment. Okay, so again, we've got a difference of 100, but this time there's not 4 gaps. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. 100 divided by 5, again, is 20. Think 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 100 divided by 5 will be 20. So I'm counting in 20s. So I get 120, 140, 160 is where the arrow is pointing. So you can stop the video now, have a go at the independent task, but keep thinking about this strategy. What is each step on the number line worth?